Ladies and gentlemen, we are back on the Bitcoin charts like we usually are. Today, I've got a few things to discuss. Short-term price action, what has happened. Yesterday's video was dedicated mostly to the short-term price action, to the short-term triangle we were forming at the time. However, there was some developments. It did actually change, and it changed into something quite unique. This is the triangle, the bullish pennant formation we had in yesterday's video, as you can see. Now, I would actually say that that bullish pennant formation was probably not developed enough for me to draw it properly. I think the proper way to draw it would be something like this, as you can see, which I'm going to do right now. Something like this, right? Where it's essentially seeing a few more wicks. Yes, it's coming from this candle close over here, but it's seeing a few more wick retests and also giving us the opportunity to draw in a descending channel as well within that triangle. So it wasn't actually really a bullish pennant. It was kind of a I guess you'd say multi-segmented structure. You generally see these kind of things form where you have, ascending lines, descending lines, but ultimately it was a descending channel formation regardless. And so regardless of the incorrect drawing we had there, we couldn't actually draw it correctly just based on the time the data we had available, but we did end up having a bullish structure regardless. It did actually break that bullish structure to the upside, and so that was a bullish break regardless of what you think it was in the short term. So we had a bullish break. We've come up, we've seen that bullish break, we've seen the original kind of move upwards here. As you can see, we swooped up to this resistance at around 31k, managed to get a nice trade or two in there myself. In fact, it was a trade, if we zoom into the short term, a trade once we closed. Actually, I'll bring it back to the hourly shot so I can show you exactly how I executed this. A trade once we closed above this RSI, our resistance on the hourly chart, flipped into the shorter term charts. Looking at 15 minute, we could see there was very strong resistance around that 31k level if we're zooming backwards. Took profits at 31k, saw a brief rejection downwards, flipped over to 5 minute time frames, and we were able to draw things like this ascending support line. Caught a nice little bounce from that ascending support line, the first retest, as you can see, and caught a second kind of secondary shorter term trade there. So multifaceted kind of trade there. Ultimately, right now on the very short term, we're forming a rounding top formation, which is not very good. As I said, though, we have come downwards and retested the breakout line for support. So it's kind of a little bit gray area right now as to what Bitcoin will do. You may remember in yesterday's video, and I still stand by this, I said it is more likely that Bitcoin sees a correction down to about 28.6k to 29k region. And look, the reason I said this, and it's actually kind of surprising to me that we even broke to the upside to begin with. As I said, I caught a trade from it, and as I said yesterday, you can catch trades on scenarios you think are less likely. Now, I caught a trade on it, but I still think that we're probably in store for a little bit of correction here, if I'm being entirely honest. And I think the only real invalidation for that opinion would be a break above this pink line. I'm going to make it pink right now. The only invalidation for that would be a break above this pink line over here at 31.4k. If we break 31.4k, and specifically 32.4 as well, getting up to that 32.4k level, these two pink lines are really, really important. If we break that, what we're doing, in fact, let me delete everything, I'll show you. We break 31.4k. If we break 32.4k, what we're doing is we're getting back into that bullish playground, right? The bullish playground of 2021 was above that region. Right now we're retesting it. We've rejected from it a few times over the last year or so. We're retesting it. We're at very strong resistance here still. Even though we've seen short-term breaks, I think the lack of momentum you can see in the short-term break, it's very visible. And the immediate kind of rejection downwards does display that weakness there on the daily chart for Bitcoin. I think we do need to see probably a bit of a correction down to 28.6k, 29k, see a higher low and then come back upwards. But that's an opinion I've held for a few days now, and I don't necessarily think the short-term break has changed that. We're looking at RSI. RSI looks good. Yes, we've broken above the RSI structure, but we're in the overbought territory now. We're also seeing stochastic RSI flipping a little bit bearish. I think if we do see a correction here, again, it's not certain, but it's definitely probably more likely at this point. If we do see a correction here, I think it will be short-lived. That's for sure. I don't think it will last very long. I do think Bitcoin will break up above this region, and I do think we will see bullish price action. I don't think we'll go lower than 28.6k. That's the absolute lowest in my opinion. So I think regardless of what happens here, Bitcoin's actually in a good position, but I just do want to warn people not to get too bullish yet, and perhaps, not even to take my word on the short-term price action, because I'm not even fully confident about the fact we'll see a correction either. I'm just kind of giving you my best guess. What I would say is this: you should be waiting for a confirmed break of this pink region before you start getting bullish on the medium time frame, because right now we're at kind of long time frame resistance here. Yes, the weekly chart looks absolutely excellent. We saw a bullish cross and stochastic RSI on the weekly. We've also seen, I believe, let me bring it up and just double check here. We've also seen, as you can see, a bullish MACD cross on the weekly, which is great. We've also seen a bounce on the weekly chart from a major RSI support at 52. We've also seen a very strong weekly candle close just a couple of days ago above bull market support band, above the previously lost 200-week SMA. There's no doubt in my mind that the macro structure looks very, very good. I just want people to be cautious about longing Bitcoin preemptively at the short-term resistance, because we are at resistance here. We are at the top of a tested resistance that we've rejected from. We're in the same region we rejected from over here in April. So just be careful, you know. I'm not necessarily very confident in my idea that it's going to go down to 28.6K to 29K. I don't think there's enough data to be very confident in it, but I do think it probably is 60% likely. So just be careful. Wait for the move up for a higher high before you start getting bullish on the short term. Even though we've seen the short term break, yeah, I still recommend waiting for that higher high on short term. Ultimately, guys, same old with monthly chart. We do know that the monthly candle close is very important. 3 days and 8 hours until the monthly candle close actually occurs, and we are waiting for the monthly candle close in order to be fully macro. Not necessarily macro bullish. We're already macro bullish. I'll tell you that much. We've been macro bullish for a long time now, for many months, almost 6 months. We've been macro bullish. 5 months we've been macro bullish. So actually 6 months we've been macro bullish. I was macro bullish since basically 16K, and then I had my confirmation through buys at an average price of 19. So I've been macro bullish for a long period of time. But if you're looking for a next macro buy, I should say, that would come at around a monthly candle close above 29.3K. 29.3K is where we have rejected on the monthly chart, and we formed a bearish engulfing candle. Closing above 29.3K would be very good. 3 days and 8 hours until that occurs. That is probably the most important singular thing that is going to be happening on Bitcoin this week. So you definitely need to keep an eye out for that, and I will be making a video on that when it occurs, and probably a video on it leading up to it as well in the day before. So 29.3K in the monthly, closing in 3 days. We want to be seeing that. It's going to be a close call. Well, I think we'll do it. I think we'll make the close. But I think it's also, you have to keep in mind, Bitcoin's not very far above 29.3K. So it's not really over yet. 3 days is quite a long time in this market. So I want to move on now, since we've covered short term, we've covered medium term, long term. I want to move on now to a couple of questions the community have. Now, these are very important questions, guys. These are questions that, I've picked a few of them to answer, and they're questions that everyone's going to find very important. Before we do that, though, Bitget Exchange, guys, 5 times lower fees than Binance, lowest fees in the market. You'll get a further 15% trading fee discount if you sign up using my referral link. As you guys know, there's heaps of exchange FUD going on right now. Get in exchange that is not part of that FUD. Get onto Bitget, non-KYC, so you can sign up from the US, you can sign up from anywhere. Just follow the guidelines in the description below to do so. So thank you guys for that. Referral links in the description below. Help out your channel, help yourself as well. Get on a good exchange. I've used this for over a year for my personal trading, and it's been nothing but great. Let's get into the trading stuff, the questions here. I have a few questions for you guys, or a few answers, I should say. Starting out, when do I think the next all-time high will be? I have said in previous videos, and I will say it again now, I've done analysis on this quite a lot in the past. I'm not going to bring up any charts. I'm just going to rapid fire answer these questions to keep it interesting, guys. The next all-time high on Bitcoin, in my opinion, would be anywhere between now and at the latest, 2024 November. That is what the data suggests. The data suggests that at the latest, it would be 2024 November, and there's no real data to give us any more specification than that. So it would basically be anytime between now and 2024 November. It's probably unlikely to occur before the halving, which is before April. So if we really wanted to be specific, the most likely region would be between April 2024 and around November 2024. And the most likely within that would probably be November 2024, just based on some emerging trends we have. But realistically, there's no actual cyclical trend that exists at this point in time to give us an exact date. But I will say it will be any time between now and November 2024. So that's the answer to that question. And by next all-time high, I mean breaking 69K. I don't mean the next cyclical top. The next cyclical top will be Q4 2025 as per the 4-year cycle theory. Would love to see some altcoin analysis. Well, guys, we do altcoin analysis in the VIP group. Obviously, we trade altcoins in the VIP group, but right now I'm not particularly focused on altcoins, and the reason being is because historically, Bitcoin has outperformed altcoins between the halving, between the bottom and the halving. So after the halving, I'll start doing altcoin videos again because the market generally will be more favorable to altcoins. As you guys know, Bitcoin dominance rises during this period of time in the market, so that's generally why I don't discuss altcoins too much. I might drop the occasional altcoin analysis here and there, but I don't think the interest is there regardless, because as you know, Bitcoin dominance is rising, altcoin communities are dying out for that reason, and altcoins in general are dying out for that reason. So perhaps I'll drop a few of them here and there spontaneously, but I do, generally agree with the fact that Bitcoin does outperform altcoins heavily until the halving. And so until at least middle of next year, altcoins are going to be getting hammered relative to Bitcoin. There will be periods of exceptions, and there will be altcoins that make exceptions, but that's on a generalized scale. How do you tell if an altcoin is close to being dead? Well, here's the thing, guys. Obviously, there are signs like things like EOS, just slow downwards price action, no real jumps, no real bumps in the price action at all. Community engagement's down. You can use things like Luna Crush, etc. But ultimately, the thing with altcoins and the problem with altcoin investing is there's no way to tell an altcoin is really properly dead until it fails to gain traction in a bull market. I say it on my channel, not enough people understand this in crypto. Altcoins do not die in the bear market, they die in the bull market. That's the only time you can realize they're dead, because at that point, everything goes down in a bear market. Everything does. It's very hard to say if things are dead in the bear market. Everything goes down, and a lot of them will rise again, and a lot of them won't rise again. And the only way to know if something's dead is when it fails to rise again. And that's why it's such a risk to invest in altcoins during the bear market, because you don't actually know whether your coin is dead or not until attraction comes back in the market, and until your altcoin fails or does gain attraction again. So that's the answer to that question there. Could there be a much bigger all-time high for Bitcoin in this bull cycle if many traditional financial companies buy BTC for their ETFs? Yes, there certainly could be a much bigger, all-time high for Bitcoin. The 4-year cycle theory is not based on price points. It's very hard to predict price points or targets for the cycles. I know I've made some observations before. I haven't made predictions because you simply cannot make predictions for it yet. After the halving, I'll have the data to perhaps make a prediction. At this point, I cannot. But, again, it's based on dates. It's not based on prices. So the price is irrelevant. It's about the date. So yes, it certainly could go high. But what do you mean by high? It's subjective. You know what I mean? When the major financial institutions finally join Bitcoin, do you still think the 4-year cycle will be intact? Again, it's very hard to comment on the future of Bitcoin in that scale. All I know is the 4-year cycle theory is intact now, and hence we should react to the market as if it is intact, because it is. I don't know about the future. It's very hard to say. The trend is your friend until it ends, and that's that. But I will say, as long as there's people in the market who say, oh, the 4-year cycle is not going to happen, or the 4-year cycle is not there, or people saying things like, oh, what makes you think it's going to work this time? As long as there are people doubting it, there is enough people in the market for it to happen. That's something that people need to understand. Whenever you doubt the 4-year cycle theory, whenever you say it's not going to happen this time because of this, and this, you're giving it a reason to happen. That's the simple logic of it. And whenever people say, oh, why do you think the 4-year cycle is going to carry on? Don't you think enough people are going to catch on to it? That you're one of the people who's not catching, you're one of the people who's giving it a reason to keep going on. It's very important to note that any kind of doubt in the 4-year cycle theory at all makes it more likely to happen. So it's important to note that. If you have any of those thoughts, oh, surely it'll end eventually because everyone's going to catch on to the fact it's happening, and at that point it will surely stop. Well, you're the reason it's still happening in having that thought. It's a complicated topic, but I think you can understand my point. Bitcoin to gold correlation broke after the BlackRock news, and you think Bitcoin will correlate to gold ever again? I think correlations shift, and I think that a short-term break in correlation is not necessarily a relevant thing. I think that also a short-term correlation that existed was perhaps... I perhaps emphasize the relevance a little bit too much. I know that Bitcoin is no longer correlated to traditional markets. I think that the only time Bitcoin was ever actually correlated to traditional markets was during quantitative easing. Now that quantitative easing has gone away, there has been a long-term, over a year now, decrease in Bitcoin's correlation to traditional markets. And I think, the fact that Bitcoin is not correlated to traditional markets is a very good thing. And I don't necessarily think it needs to be a good thing for it to be correlated to gold as well. It's not a bad thing because Bitcoin is digital gold, of course, but Bitcoin being its own asset is probably more in touch with the ideal form of Bitcoin. Because, yeah, it's like gold. It's very much in the same playing field as gold in terms of reasons that people invest in it, but it is, in my opinion, better than gold and slightly different to gold as well. It's less centralized than gold in the same sense, so it would make sense for it to see independence. But as for short-term correlations, breaking and gaining, it's kind of irrelevant. You need to see long-term data when it comes to correlation, so I'm not going to comment on that at this point. I think that's all the questions we'll jump into for this video. There are a few more questions there. and I probably will answer the next ones in the next video. If there's a few more that I find interesting, I think there's a couple there. I'll answer them in the next video, guys. If you've got any more questions, leave them in the comment section of this video, not that post. Leave them in the comment section of this video, and I'll add them to my own personal list and perhaps answer them in the next video. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed some useful information in that video for sure. Check out the VIP group, guys. VIP group, all the information is on Telegram. We're releasing the results for VIP for the quarter of Q2 in about 4 days when the new month arrives. So check out those results. All of the previous results for our trades, our track record is very good. 80% win rate can be found in that information group, the free Telegram information group. You can join below, and you can find the pricing, you can find the details, 3 to 5 trading signals a week, etc. Make money on altcoins, join the VIP group. All of that stuff is in the description. And also, guys, Crypto Academy. Now the website is up here. Become a Trader 10-unit course. Learn how to trade and do it through Crypto Academy. This is a structured course, a structured program, giving you the learning structure you need to actually learn something properly. It's very hard to learn something by yourself on the internet. It's very hard to watch YouTube videos and learn. Yes, you can do it, but it's going to take a lot more time and effort. Get a structured program, a structured course. This is the way that you can learn. This is the way people teach, in schools and universities. It's a proven way. And we've got slides, we've got videos, we've got worksheets targeting all types of learners. We've got visual learners, verbal learners, learners who learn through actually doing the task as per the worksheet, trading diaries as well. Everything's in the course, guys. So check out the website for information. Email addresses on that website for contact details. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one.